waiting for my chance to shine. I am gonna make you mine. All I wanna do is impress you with my mousetrap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Spend a lot of extra time waiting for the acolyte. I am gonna catch that fool. You will think I'm really cool. All I wanna do is impress you with my mousetrap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you. Just watch me, mouse. Just watch me catch you, catch you, catch you. All I wanna do is impress you with my mousetrap. All I wanna do is convince you with my cheese. All I wanna do is be the coolest cat here, but I'll need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed. Oh, but I need some more super breed.
Hello, MouseHunt, and welcome to Feedback Friday. It is February 24, 2023. Hello to everybody in the chat. My name is Dave. Hopefully everybody is doing well today. Hello, Math. Chong, good morning to you as well. Hey, Jack, nice to see you as always. Sashi's hoping for an easier way to get ultimate party charms this birthday. Well, they wouldn't be ultimate if they were too abundant, right? They're kind of the above and beyond hard to get tier. Chong asking if tomorrow's Ronza. Probably not. I haven't seen her, but we'll see. Ray, good morning to you as well. Hey, Scrib Dev, that's a good observation with the Impress You song there. I'll need some more Super Breed. Good thing the birthday event is coming. That's a great time, the birthday event. You get to make Super Brie. You help to fill the crate full of Super Brie, and you get to claim some of it. You get to make some empowered Super Brie if you need it as well, along with other cheese. Clay, good morning to you as well, and Scrib, afternoon in your neck of the woods. And there you go. Chong says that I need more empowered Super Brie. It's coming. It's coming. Sooner than later. We are almost here. Hello to you as well, Arctic in the chat. Jason, yo, Scrib, greetings as well. Yudashir, hello to you. Jordo, Nathan, hey, nice to see you. Laza with a mouse and a birthday cake emoji. I like it. Hello, Tim, Peter, Angel. And once again, Chong, hello to you as well. Well, today, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't have a whole lot in terms of topics planned. Actually, it was a bit of a busy week. It was a short week here. Monday was a holiday. And we're kind of have a lot of artwork going on this week. And so thought it was best Jacob could really put his head down and focus on some artwork that he's doing for upcoming expansion. So I took Feedback Friday this week. And Jacob may join you next week. He may be indisposed as well, so we'll see. Keep your eye. We'll put maybe on the browser version of the game, we'll use the news ticker to let you know if Feedback Friday is canceled next week or not. It's kind of 50-50 right now. We're not quite sure if there'll be a Feedback Friday, so that's maybe good to mention off the bat as well. And if not, Georgia will be around and take down the little reminder banner on the camp section too. So if next Friday you don't see a banner up, check the news ticker there, at least in the browser version of the game we have that. And odds are there might not be a Feedback Friday. Greetings to you as well, Math. Josh, welcome in. Tim, any new area hints? Maybe a little later. It's coming along quite well, though. It's great. Spoiler Feedback Friday, please, asks Supra there. Rogue, hello, welcome on in. Jack, where you are, it is plus 30 Celsius. Hard to sleep in this heat. I'm having the opposite problem. In fact, my throat's a little dry, I think, from the rapid drop in temperature. Yesterday it was, around freezing, maybe -1, 0, 1, somewhere around there. Dropped down to -13 overnight. Now I think we're up to -7. All right, we're getting there. But even I feel like the rapid change in temperature sometimes does a little number on you. Fleming, hi Dave. Don't forget to hydrate. The dry throat, that's a mighty fine idea, Fleming. Let's keep plenty of fluids coming here. Well, on that note, I thought we'd touch base a little bit, give one more look at the birthday event, and maybe a specific topic or two, but very similar to what we went over last week. Super Refactory is coming back February 28 to March 21, and as usual, there'll be a 1-week shutdown period. You get to finish pumping your very last crate of cheese, and then that's it. You have access to the Super Brie or the Super Token machine to grab snack packs, spend all your tokens. The skins are still in the shop for that last shutdown week. But one thing we wanted to touch on here is Big Jack. We were trying to make a rather generic timer that, we could change the color scheme of it a little bit, but basically as easy as we can make it, drop it into different events to try to have a countdown timer in more of these time-sensitive events without having to create a brand new timer every single time. So interested a little bit in feedback on how did you find the Big Jack timer? I know we toyed around with a few different formats here and there. So that might be something we can get some feedback on as well. A little too late to act on anything for the birthday, but another opportunity to get feedback. Maybe spring egg hunt. We might be able to rethink the timer a little bit. Just, try to make the best version of it we can. We're a little concerned. If you remember on Big Jack, it decayed toward the right. Hopefully my camera's not flipped. But anyway, it moved toward the right, and it turned from green to yellow to orange to red as time ticked down. I think one change we're going to make, the final hour, Big Jack said ending soon. Kind of idea, I think, was to create a little urgency around that final hour, make sure you get in there. I think we're going to change that and just say, 5 minutes remaining, because that also creates a lot of urgency and it's less confusing. And it'll say soon when we're literally, the end date has hit, and we're probably logging into the servers and we're doing the process of doing a code push to end the event. So that's literally any second now it could end. I think that's one change we're looking to make. Chong, new area this year or next year? Hey, if all goes according to plan this year, I certainly hope we can get one done a year. Thanks, silly metric units, eh? Tim, if no plans, any fun data to share? I mean, nothing too accessible, I guess. It requires a little bit of preparation, I guess, so I have to know what I got to look up before we get started. Yeah, Jack, you have a severe weather warning here as well. It's been hitting plus 40 in the day. Hey, we're on the opposite end here. We had an ice storm blow through. We had extreme weather warning. Luckily, we didn't lose power or anything. Horn skin, says Fernandez. Yes, indeed. Exciting. Jacob did have time to put together a new horn skin for the birthday event, and we'll show that off in just a minute, actually. So, if you do want to be pleasantly surprised, avert your gaze for a little while. But I'll load up the birthday event in just a minute. As well as to show, we did end up, this was something we got feedback on last Feedback Friday, we did end up adjusting the cost of the birthday trap skins just to have them you feel like you have to earn them a little bit more without being unobtainable. We don't want to go too far with it, but just I think most hunters would agree the costs were just way too low. It was like barely any tokens to get the skins, which didn't really make them feel like much of a sense of accomplishment to get them. So we just wanted to raise those up a little bit, maybe add a gold cost to them as well. So we can kind of show that. I'll pull this up. We can show those costs as well. Clay, bring back the necklace. I assume you mean Balak the Banished. We'll see. It's a bit of a tough spot. Probably not a big deal to put it back, but yeah, it's interesting. Maybe something we can pull. We certainly changed the artwork of some other mice over the years as well. So, it'd be nice one day. We'd like to maybe add kind of like a user preference setting where you could see like the retro version of mice and you could see the old illustrations as well, but just kind of no time to get that done, so there's no plans to do anything like that. But it originated from, we had kind of newer people coming up through the area as well, and actually we had a bug report. Somebody first thought the image was broken, and because it's primarily white space, so kind of went to something that's a little bit more recognizable. Fleming, that did look good. Are we talking about the Big Jack timer? Fernandez says timer was good. Do that. Yes, very, very good. That might be good too here. I can pop this on. I think I showed it last week as well. You can see we have the timer there. And actually, this is one thing we're adjusting right now. It says February 28 to March 28. That would include the shutdown week, though. So I think we're going to shave that off. If you can read text that small inside of a video, that should be a different date, right? Because here we've got March 21. I got to read dates to make sure I get them right. But kind of we've done the same thing. This time it's a balloon moving from the left to the right, and the bar will change to red as it gets low. So almost like a countdown timer, but a progress bar. But we weren't sure, if the bar like getting smaller over time. Did that make sense? Did that throw anybody for a loop when you looked at it and you thought, oh, is this going the wrong way? Because time moves forward. We feel like it should go left to right. Pokey says, love the timer. It was subtle but super clear. Clarets like the timer was extremely helpful. I'm already behind in chat. Swift, you were wondering where the new horn was last week during testing. I think we just got it in this week. So it was a little, Jacob was still illustrating it, putting the final touches on it. Soon wasn't clear. Okay, that's good to hear, Rogue. So I think that came across as a little bit confusing. I noticed some other feedback in other areas as well, thinking like, whoa, is Big Jack leaving an hour early? Why does it say soon? So I think we're changing that. Hopefully you have time to get that in for the birthday, where it's going to say soon when the event end time hits, so and then basically when you see soon, okay, that means we're logging into servers and we're probably updating the game to remove the event. So it's not automated. There's just some things that it's just safer if we actually just curate it and type a command and it like updates all the servers. So when you see that soon, you basically know you may have only seconds remaining, minutes, however long it takes us to go through that process. Usually it goes smooth. Every once in a while, we might have, take a few minutes to organize something. Alex says, I would say that instead of soon, it would say ending now. That might be better as well. That's a good suggestion. John, when will Ronza bring Rift version gift of the day? I don't think anything like that exists. Hey, Camel, welcome in. Hello to you as well. Fernandez, just a minute. Your time starts now. Jack, I played on mobile during Big Jack, so I only saw the days remaining on the top barrel counter. If you opened up the interface, there was a larger bar as well. So, similar on browser, if you recall, Big Jack was kind of above the adventure book there, or it was above your journal, and there was kind of an indicator there, and you had to click it to open up to kind of see this progress bar, similar that we have going for the birthday. Fernandez, what happened to the horde? Why is it weird? So, this is something we've been experimenting with is during events. To mark certain occasions, dress it up, make it look thematic. And this is the birthday version of the horn. That said, I think we're going to remove the 15 here and just keep, you can see the shield on the other side says 15th anniversary, and just the horn's something you get to click every 15 minutes. Weren't sure if that might be confusing, especially if you just start the game. Like, what does 15 mean? Is it a countdown? Is it counting how many times I've clicked this thing? Is something special going to happen after I do it 15 times? Scrib, are we going to see a birthday event change next year? Perhaps the Super Brie boat, eh? Let's get the cheese in the mainland somehow. We'll see. It's a whole year away. It's way too early to commit to anything. Like anything, I think eventually it's like watching the same movie. Sometimes when it's a good movie, I like to watch it a few times, right? But eventually you've got the thing memorized and you're ready for a new experience. And, maybe the factory has run its course or not. That might be a good feedback topic as the event comes to an end. So it comes down to if there's creative inspiration, if there's an idea that just feels more exciting than the factory, if that comes up, that increases the possibility of that happening. But no guarantees, and there's time constraints as well. It's often my biggest frustration is only so many hours in the day. We're a pretty small team, just doing the best we can, and it can be hard to get a lot of events in areas made in a short amount of time. John, I hope you'll create a Rift version of Gift of the Day so I can keep on collecting Gift of the Day while in the Rift. You can, while you're in the Rift, the Gift of the Day, you can keep claiming it. But I assume you mean the base. Yeah, fair enough. I mean, you'd have to sacrifice the rift set bonus, but that could be said. The gift of the day base isn't particularly that strong either. So it might just be a case of, you can't have it all at the same time, right? You have to kind of pick and choose what's important to you at any one time. Do you want to maximize your catch rate, or is the loot more important? That's a choice you get to make as a player. And if you could just kind of have everything all at once at all times, then that would kind of remove the choices that you have to make. Uh, Michael, my skins, eh? It is some stuff we've been toying around as we kind of experiment with game engine updates. Is just add more flexibility, and there's no immediate plans for this. But even able to see, like, what is the mouse? Some of the mice dress up for Halloween or Great Winter Hunt. They have different versions of the same artwork. A way to browse that in game would certainly be nice. But again, it's kind of a time restriction thing and a million things to prioritize. That might be a little lower on the list, but something we've played with here and there. Clay, thanks for taking the time to explain the necklace situation. Yeah, like I said, it would be nice, that was kind of a good segue into there, to have that user preference, because even though there's a few other mice, we've updated the art just to modernize it a little bit, kind of do it the same way we would do it if we were doing it today. I mean, this is a good topic as we look back on 15 years of mouse hunting. There's a lot of areas that if we were putting them together today, whether it's art style, gameplay, interface, whatever, we'd probably do them different, and that's natural, right? We've been at this for 15 years. I like to think we've gotten better over time, right? Like anything, if you're a chef and you're cooking meals, I would hope after 15 years of making meals, you start to make better meals than you did 15 years ago. Whatever your skillful discipline is, and so sometimes we look back at older areas and kind of we want to bring them up to the standard that we have nowadays, where time permits. In both terms of artwork, gameplay, and I think you've seen we've been able to carve out a little more time to get that done. And specifically with Balak the Banished, just kind of new players. There's a lot of white space in there, and it felt like something was missing. Even at first, somebody thought the image failed to load or something was wrong, but I also understand the longer something's there, the scarier the change feels. I'm sure we've all used, whether it's a website or an application, or even just you walk into a store and they moved everything around on you, like the grocery store. What didn't cereal I swear it used to be in aisle 4, and it's kind of natural. Like no, put it back in aisle 4. I don't want to go to aisle 7 for my cereal. It's too far away. Or use a website and they move where something is, and that's a little bit scary. But yeah, give it time to see if you get used to it as well. You share any new cake base this year for the birthday event? Yes, I believe we are continuing that tradition, and a cake base is coming out. But they're mostly kind of collectibles at this point. But it is what it is. It's a little bit of fun. Hopefully one day in the future we can do some sort of cosmetic override. I know there's been some ideation around that, but just haven't quite had that right proposal come to the surface. It'd be great to just be able to enjoy some different artwork in different ways. And I feel like that would give a lot of the more collectible traps and bases a little bit more life. You can kind of use them more often. But, we'll see. It's a lot of it's just pie in the sky, blue sky ideation of things we would love to get done if we had time. Fernandez, will the balloon get bigger and bigger and then pop while the event ends? That is just about the cutest idea I've ever heard. No, that's not planned, but that certainly would be nice. That might be filed under the nice to have. Rob, what necklace situation? Yeah, so we did recently change the thumbnail of Balak the Vanished, and to be his face. The kind of green glowing face kind of has a lot more color and contrast, and a stronger use of iconography to kind of recognize what's going on. Horn looks like a really long martini glass. I guess you could say that for any of these old style trumpets. Elusive 1 month event last year was only 3 weeks. So I did comment on that. Maybe I shouldn't have this on screen too much without commenting on it. Right now, that timer includes the final shutdown, so that's not the case. I think we're going to change that, and that just proved that is indeed misleading to include the shutdown time. I think a lot of players will be surprised when the event ends a week before the timer hits 0. That's in the process, I think, of being changed as we speak. So that's something kind of, as I was pulling through things this morning, that stood out to me as well. And it's kind of good to get confirmation in the chat. Yep, that's pretty misleading. Don't put the final shutdown in the timer. Yeah, Jack, you like the idea, too, of being able to view different versions of the mouse artwork. Ending any minute now, that might be good. Soon, TM. Use a Roman numeral for 15 instead. Yeah, we'll see. I think it's maybe a little precarious. attaching any piece of information to something you interact with. Like an on-off switch is labeled on-off, and when you interact with it, it'll change its state and what it says. And so I think anytime you try to incorporate data into something you click, you use, you interact with, that data should interact or should be directly related to the action you're taking. So I think we're probably going to remove the 15 and maybe just be more of a visual celebration. We've still got the 15 on the shield, and that isn't something that you use to play the game. You can navigate to your profile with it, but it also has the luxury of more space to say 15th anniversary. Or, if we maybe wanted to reimagine this, maybe Jacob could put the ribbon on it that says 15th anniversary. That might help as well. It's the 15th anniversary horn. It feels like a label, not like a heads-up display stat. Ducky, any kind of gameplay questions might be best saved for, if you want to join the community Discord server, a great place to kind of get FAQ and get answers done. Clarence, any new traps coming with the event? No, not particularly. It's kind of, there's some new trap skins, but, it's just kind of something like I was saying earlier, some of them have just become sort of collectibles, so it's something we kind of maybe want to save those ideas for new permanent areas, even just save kind of all that art time and everything. It kind of means, does that mean there's like one less mouse in a new expansion? We kind of have to, play our cards wisely because there's only so many hours in the day. So, that's some of the thought process there. We already have the base to have that sort of thing you can arm on your trap to commemorate the event. Whether we need a trap as well that you probably will go in your inventory and you'll never really use it, maybe we put that time and effort towards adding more mice to the next expansion instead. You think Jacob will blame us, the community, for the 15, eh? I assume you took over 250 turns. You can only get to the deep layer. Oh, Jonathan's trying to help you out there as well. Yeah, there's a time limit on the iceberg, so it's kind of how that area works. Yeah, Lynn could replace the 15 with just a MouseHunt shield. That could work as well. Yeah, Jack, that's a neat idea. You get a birthday present every 15 hunts you take because it's the 15th anniversary, eh? Fleming, just try not to remove too much legacy code when you visit older areas. Well, that's part of the process. I'm way behind in chat here. Let's see if I can get caught up. Alex, is this where Dave announces the update to Whiskerwood so we can finally get that journal theme? Not quite. Need a new mouse for the 15th birthday. Yeah, we spoke a little bit about that last week as well. It's getting kind of increasingly difficult to find a spot for these. I know we're going over some feedback with the Valentine's event as well. So, it's something on our minds. It's just not something we can act on in the short term. So, it might be best just to kind of leave well enough alone until we can have time to do it right. Oh, and any chance of there being something for the 15th birthday, like the cake for the 10th? Well, the 10th felt like a particularly important milestone, so we might be waiting for the 20th. We'll see. Scrib, you're confused? Did you miss something about the necklace? Shall we go capture Balak here? Shall we go do it? Let's arm a forgotten trap first. Let's get ready for it. Hey, we've got the thought obliterator. Ooh, I don't think I have Vengeful Vanilla. Well, maybe we're not. That might take a while to set up. Dave, what are the key differences for this year's MouseHunt birthday versus last year? It's going to be very familiar if you played last year's. Very similar rewards. Really not too much has changed, to be honest. We can take a look at the trap skins as we were going over earlier. Wanted to increase the cost of a few of them. We kind of spoke about this a little bit last Friday as well. So I think this is where we've settled. Some of the higher end traps, for skins for kind of high level traps are more tokens than lower level traps. And spanning from 30 all the way down, I think 5, 10. 10 for the Forgotten Art of Dance skins as well. A little bit of a gold cost also. Kind of title appropriate cost for title appropriate skins. My horn is ready. Let's go on a hunt. Ryan, who's the boss this year? It is... Oh my goodness, I'm just drawing a blank. Hold on, hold on. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I am drawing a blank here. It's not the birthday mouse, that's for sure. Let's go to the event section. Somebody will beat me to it. Vincent, that's it. Vincent the Magnificent. And you can, trying to take over the Super Brief Factory, kind of paying homage to other popular characters, if you will. A little bit of a reference. Michael says, hey, Grab, ever get MouseHunt birthday cakes to the office? Maybe years ago we did, I remember. But alas, we're working remotely, so that'll be a challenge nowadays. Why it's going to be something special for blowing out that birthday cake this year? It is a limited edition item. Typically, we don't kind of change how they work after they're released for the most part, unless it's really, really necessary. So not particularly. And that's an item that you get to blow out the candles when it's your MouseHunt anniversary, not when it's the game's anniversary. So it was an item you obtained from the birthday event, but not necessarily tied to the birthday event in that way. Jack, you could put a TH on there, making it 15th. But again, it may be overthinking this a little bit. And it's tough to look through the lens of somebody who hasn't played the game for very long. Even something we struggle with is typically new players take a bit to figure out, well, I can only do this every 15 minutes. And, it's simultaneously a huge part of the charm the game has, but it's also very hard to explain why. And so just kind of get nervous about putting any numbers or anything around that horn because when you're starting out the game, that might make you think it means something when it really is just kind of a celebration, decorative type thing. So I think it's best served to we put it on something decorative, like the shield kind of decorates the UI. Scrib, you better bring some new mice for the 20th birthday when we're all old, eh? Any Chrome upgrades this year? Nothing in the birthday. Nothing Chrome in the birthday, nope. Dave, what is the king doing this 15th MouseHunt birthday? How about a King's giveaway? Yeah, we'll see. Right now, just unfortunately, we just don't have anybody free to put together King's giveaway. Kind of everybody's just busy between putting together the birthday, the spring egg hunt, a new game expansion, and lots of other little projects on the go. There's only so many of us, and I do wish there could be more, but we're pretty well maxed out on how many people we can have work on the game. Is the Forgotten Art of Dance Trap available to be bought this event? You haven't gotten it? It sure should be. It is not limited edition. Let's go see the Trapsmith. Unless I'm sorely mistaken. You have the Queso Factory Trap. There it is. The Forgotten Art of Dance is 178,000 gold. It can be yours. It's a pretty good starter Forgotten Trap. It has been for many a year. The Queso Factory Trap, you do need 5 of the golden punch tickets, and that's what you get every time you capture Vincent. There you go. It's Vinny. I'm just getting caught up on the chat now. I drew a complete blank here. I think I'm 1 cup of coffee short to be coherent. You're trying to suggest the 15th celebration we have in South America for this year's mouse. Anything special, but my computer refuses to use the proper letters, eh? Who's my cousin Vinny? Not quite, but he's magnificent. Grant, thanks for increasing the Valentine's. Mice have a few yet that need to get 10 for a silver after so many years. Much appreciated. Yeah, we're starting to rethink maybe how we want to purpose those, and just even speaking about as we add event mice to the mix, just as they get to be more of them, it gets to be a challenge. I know Great Winter Hunt is a challenge. There's so many mice. When you reimagine the event, trying to find a good home for them all. When you think about other areas, the mice all sort of fit the theme, right? Like they all feel, or they don't feel out of place. They feel in their place. And the event mice are a challenge, especially when they're really thematically tied to that particular year's event. That gets to be a challenge. And so, kind of just over the years, lesson learned, maybe we just kind of downplay that a little bit in events, and we put that time of new interesting characters into permanent expansions. They're around year-round. Valentine's was in a tough spot because sometimes it overlaps with Lunar New Year, sometimes it doesn't. It's interesting to see, too, the feedback cycles of now that Valentine's didn't overlap with Lunar New Year, it became the focus. And all of a sudden, there was a lot more sort of like, well, I want to capture more of these mice. Whereas when it overlapped with Lunar New Year, it's like, well, Lunar New Year is fun. Oh, this is just a small little bonus on top of that. So I think that kind of contributed as well, just them being right at the forefront. It's what it had everyone's focus and attention. So we've been playing around with a few ideas. Maybe we can give them a new home. Some of like the sports of mice that we did, just kind of events that we don't necessarily want to have to repeat year after year. We're trying to put more time and energy into permanent areas and just kind of expanding the game that way. Dave, what does the king look like? Do you have a picture of them? Quite purposely left that to everyone's imagination, so just kind of shrouded in mystery. And sometimes a fun part of the story is when you get to fill in a few blanks yourself, and then the story always gets told in a way that makes sense to the reader that way, when you leave a little bit up to the imagination. Chris, then any news on the new area? It's coming together. It's going to be in Folklore Forest expansion. It's coming along well, though. Since Vincent is so famous, can you create a new family member for him or give him a wife? Hey, Ryan, I don't know. You gotta walk a careful line of personifying the mice too much, because at the end of the day, we are catching them with some pretty over-the-top traps, so we want to be a little bit careful there. Vincent needs a wife or a protege, eh? Maybe make it say 15 years in the horde if you split the 1 in the 5. Yeah, I mean, sometimes less is more as well, though, right? Sometimes it's, the painter has to know when to put the brush down. One more stroke and there's too much on the page. So, sometimes it comes up a lot, too, when we're designing areas. Sometimes something doesn't feel right. And often the instinct of a lot of people is like, okay, what can I add to this to fix that? Sometimes that's the answer, but sometimes too you gotta take a step back, like, well, what can I remove to fix that? Both in design, even in programming, often you want to see what can I remove, what code can I remove, and it still works in a similar fashion, and then the whole thing gets easier to understand that way. So, sometimes I think we don't give enough credit to the power that removing things can do, and not just always adding more. Math ones, when is the London meetup event happening? I think sometime next week. I don't have too many details, though. Script Vinny, what ends up being a pirate captain complete with the party hat on this Super Breed boat, eh? It's some fun with that supply chain a little bit for the winter hunt. I really like the little boats Jacob illustrated, kind of supplying the Taiga from the harbor and everything. Kind of brings the world to life a little bit. So who knows? Could have some fun with that. It's an idea. Kind of old recycled as new bosses, just give them a point and gold update and a backstory. Might be enough to make them feel newer. Fair enough, but not all of them are a good thematic tie-in, right? Like some of the previous birthday mice, it really doesn't make sense to why their character would want to be taking over a factory like that. So sometimes it's just tough. You're left with a square peg in a round hole. Rogue, we thought about it last year too. Crown collectors want access to mice, and that's fair enough. That said, some mice are just harder to crown than others, and that's part of their identity. That's part of their story. The Shelder. When you see somebody with a crown for the Shelder, it tells a story. It's like, wow, they have a crown for the Shelder. I think what makes the Valentine's mice a little bit different is that how you've encountered them has changed over the years. So it doesn't tell that consistent story. So that does put them in a different kind of awkward place. Where when you see somebody with a crown, well, did you get that crown 12 years ago? Because that's a very different crown than if you got it 3 years ago. It puts them in a spot there. And you kind of workshopping a few ideas to maybe try to repurpose them a little bit. It could be cool to have mouse versions of the characters in the game, like a Larry mouse, a King mouse, and a plank run mouse. We might struggle to tell a story like that. Might be a bit odd if you're capturing little humanized mice. Script, you just imagine the Technic King just cosplays as the King of Naughty, eh? Like some delusions of grandeur going on. Also, is the new area part of Folklore Forest? I thought it was a new area, like the Dance Renaissance area. I'm not quite sure what gave that impression, but no, it's an expansion of the Folklore Forest. Just kind of an expansion of the story as it plays out, of just what that antagonist is up to. Yeah, Folklore Forest is a region. Indeed. Right now it consists of 3 areas. You've got the table of contents, the farm, and the pond. And you can see there's a bit of a blank spot over here. So you might be able to imagine where things are going. Wax, can we add some folklore forest items to the King's Cart? It is kind of on the to-do list. We revisit that every now and then, but we just kind of wait for some time to pass. And so it's just too soon for it. It's typically a type of thing we kind of add. An interesting thing that faces some games, but MouseHunt more than others, is MouseHunt plays kind of slowly, right? And that's definitely part of the game, is patience and perseverance. It's not a game of instant gratification, to say the least. But there does come a point where somebody who signs up for the game tomorrow, it's going to take them a very long time before they can play with a friend who's kind of in Folklore Forest or something like that. So without diminishing sort of above and beyond accomplishments, a way to at least kind of go through the story a little bit quicker, and that's one lever we kind of keep in our back pocket to pull on, is your King's Credits can give you a little bit of a boost. Every once in a while, maybe, the dojo, you could show up, buy some tokens, rush your way to the top of the dojo, still complete the story, but you kind of did the abridged version of it, just to kind of help you catch up, but still, it still isn't reasonable to be using that to earn King's Crowns and what have you. So when it's kind of the latest, greatest thing, we typically don't stock the King's Arms, so it'll be kind of some years before that happens. Yeah, Charizard, you caught your first nugget mouse. It was the cutest thing ever. That is an adorable mouse indeed. And that's one of those characters, right? It's kind of rare, hard to encounter, and when you see somebody with a King's Crown, it tells a story. It's like you've been camping out in Digby. Michael, are you suggesting that the MouseHunt mice don't have an incentive to take over the Super Brie factory? Hey, that's why they invade in a hurry. It's making the tastiest cheese in all the lands. It's just Vincent kind of being the ringleader, right? That's kind of the whole character was designed with that narrative in mind. Vincent is the ringleader. Swift, I think the Hope Mouse is currently way too rare. I mean, fair enough, but some mice just are rare, right? And they tell that's their place in the game. I could certainly understand if there's not a lot of, agency, autonomy, strategy you could employ. It can kind of feel like no matter what I do, I get the same result. Fair enough, and that's more in small doses. But there's also no critical progression tied to that, similar to the Shelter Mouse, right? It is kind of rare for the sake of being rare, and there aren't too many mice like that in the game, but that's part of their identity. And so they're there to show you've had the patience, perseverance, and you've stuck with it. To go and crown that mouse. It's just kind of part of their identity. And if all the mice were abundant, then none of them would be as special. Jonathan, you think that the bonus hunts is perfect for the Valentine's mice as long as neither of the events on either side use bonus hunts, so there's no conflict. Yeah, if there was anyone that kind of made sense, it was a very cute narrative, it was that kind of matchmaking effect. So we're playing around. We might keep the matchmaker event around as a way to get the mice anywhere. But again, no concrete plans, so we'll kind of see where that goes. Clarence's hit grab hiring. No, not at the moment. We're kind of firing on all cylinders. We're kind of maxed out in terms of what we can keep running. And Jonathan means the Valentine's event can last as long or as short as you want without getting in the way. And that was definitely some of the inspiration of why it turned out that way to start with. It overlaps with the Lunar New Year as well. Nelsa's not sure I follow you. Mark, will Plank Run eventually make an appearance in the game? Seems like a legendary hunter fading into the background. Will there be a Plank Run aura someday? Well, probably not. But we did kind of start to get a little bit momentum on kind of bringing that back to life a little bit. But, again, it's just unfortunately one of the things now is there's nobody free to work on it. We just kind of don't have anybody who isn't working on something else who can kind of work on that. So it's, it's a little bit like a bakery that makes cakes, breads, cake bread, muffin, and croissants, and sometimes you just don't have enough bakers and the croissants can't come out yet. And that's kind of where we're at. We just, we also, the bakery's about as big as we can make it. We can't afford a new oven, so we're doing the best we can with what we got. But, it's great. It's often a very powerful thing to read sort of suggestions, sentiment, and feedback, because that's one more thing we use to determine, okay, what should we be focusing our time and energy on at any one given moment. And it's fluid. It kind of changes over time, and just even reading player feedback, sentiments, and impressions is one more way we collect that feedback. When are we getting mouse with wheels, eh? Well, that might be tough to work in a sensible fashion. I mean, there's certainly some mice that have some kind of more mechanical elements to them. I don't know off the top of my head if any of them necessarily have wheels, but you might elaborate on why you want to see that. That's always a good source as well. Whenever you're given any suggestions or feedback, the why is always the important part. Not so much the what, how about this, but why do I want to see that? That's often kind of helps things bump up in the priority list because the why has to be compelling. Dave, what's the name of the mouse on the MouseHunt logo? It doesn't have a name. That's just kind of a logo. I don't think the mouse exists in the game per se. Yeah, the Hope Mouse is kind of weird, doesn't really fit into the training grounds. Yeah, I mean, that might be a good example, right? We don't want anything to stick out per se, and so sometimes if you take an event mouse that gets repurposed and you put it into an existing area, it can, maybe not quite feel right. But, the idea there of it having a lot of supplies and everything on the go, it's a little bit of a depot of where it's maybe kind of setting up to store and distribute its supplies. But some of it gets to be a bit of a stretch. Also says, when will the Whiskerwoods theme be released? No plans to release it, so we'll see. Okay, yeah, I see maybe some of the YouTube chat filter causing a little bit of struggle in the chat. You do need to maybe choose your words wisely a little bit. It does filter out some messages. Jonathan, you see Zugzwang and Plank Run seem to disappear from the record after the Whiskerwoods Rift. Is it that they discovered Rift-type traps and couldn't catch Rift Stalkers? I think, it was great. We got pretty far in fleshing out the whole thing, but, often the idea is the easy part. The execution of it is hard, because that's where the real time starts to come into play. And so, I think I don't want to dig too deep into that, into spoilers, because, well, at some point, maybe it'll make its way into the game, but who knows how it'll kind of be imagined when all is said and done. So we'll just kind of leave it at that. Yeah, Michael, there you go. There's kind of a mouse on a wheel, the RB8, yeah, and the Labyrinth. There's a Labyrinth mouse that has that vibe going for it. See if we can find it. It's half the challenge. Citizens of Zokor. RR8, there we go. That's about as close as a wheel, I think, maybe as we're going to get. Surely there's got to be some other mice that have some wheels, but we'll see. The extreme every sports mouse has some wheels, eh? Now, Wax, any plans for a new Rift area eventually, but no immediate plans. Nothing we're working on right now. Glitchpaw is another difficult mouse that even when he's reached, you can't always get one. Yeah, and that's just lesson learned, kind of. Maybe ideas that were good many years ago haven't aged well as the years have gone on. And that's another mouse we'd like to try to repurpose, but we'll see. Again, it just kind of comes down. We need kind of somebody who can sit down and do the design work on it and then get it implemented. And it's tricky. As you can see in just the short 44 minutes we've been here, there's probably been months and months of work versus of suggestions have come up in chat. You can only imagine how many more are lurking in the background as well, right? So there's just really literally aren't enough hours in the day to put everything we want into the game. So when will the Valor Rift theme be released? I don't think there is a Valor Rift theme, unless I'm mistaken, unless that's hiding in the background somewhere. Maybe Jacob put one together. But yeah, might need to maybe see which ones were made, or even just kind of make sure there's a spot for it before we create it. Might be a good lesson learned there. Yeah, Script Hope Mouse could fit the bazaar as well. Also, yeah, kind of a shop place, getting some supplies. Actually, that's not too bad at all. The Squeaker Mouse, Squeaker Bot has mouse treads. There you go. Yeah, it's a mouse in the lab, right? It kind of has like treads, like tank treads on it. Kind of reminds me of the movie Short Circuit, maybe. I don't know if that's something from my childhood. That sounds vaguely familiar. Kind of reminds me of the look of that character. Even like Wally, actually. It kind of reminds me of the character, that one. There's kind of a few overlapping similarities. What's the attraction rate of the Terrified Adventure at Valor Rift? I don't have it in front of me, so I won't risk just pulling a number out of my memory banks, because that's probably going to be wrong, YX. Yeah, Jonathan, there needs to be an adventure somewhere for the big bad burrows. Yeah, we're kind of debating. We're going back and forth whether we just sort of want to add it as is. We were making some good headway at eventually overhauling Digby. We wanted to actually add some gameplay there, a heads-up display, kind of a little something to do with digging and kind of restoring Digby. But, again, that was sort of, the years have gone by and we just haven't been able to push forward with that. I've just been working on other things. And so, it wouldn't be horrible to kind of retcon an adventure, I suppose, right? Where either maybe if you did the old adventure, it just marks the new one as complete and there's new stuff to do. I don't know, just get a little bit awkward sometimes to create something knowing you kind of want to tear it down and replace it with something else. But maybe that's just more pragmatic as well. It's more realistic knowing we're probably not going to get to that anytime soon. But for now, it is kind of a little Easter egg. It's a bonus hidden part of the game that you need to be sort of extra astutely aware of to figure out how to go and do that. It doesn't unlock anything too critical. Certainly the Digby drill bot's a pretty nice reward for it. But beyond that, it doesn't block you from unlocking new areas. So right now it is that little Easter egg. It's the hidden room, And you're going through maybe other games like, did you know if you push on this wall here, the wall opens up, the bookcase moves, and there's something hidden back there? Oh, wow, cool. Are there any plans for a Twisted Carmine egg this spring egg hunt? That might be a topic for a future Feedback Friday, but as far as the spring egg hunt is concerned, I think we have, 6 new eggs. Yeah, and, typically we add eggs to areas that don't have any eggs, and that might lead you to think, what areas in the game currently do not have any eggs? And I would say there's 2 for each area, so that might make it pretty easy to figure out. Yeah, Scrib, why not put the glitch paw in the factory with the scientist charm? Fits the theme. Yeah, if anywhere, maybe the laboratory might be a good fit for it. There's a few other ideas kicking around, and we just kind of like to see when the timing's just right, and when the idea is strong. If you gotten too good at stability, glitch paws have to work harder to get their time in the sun now. That's certainly true, right? Jason, doesn't matter if it takes a few years, a Tribal Isle Rift will be glorious. Well, eventually, I think there'll be one of those before the Rift storyline comes to a close, so here's hoping we make it. Yeah, I knew Jacob created a Whisker Woods theme, but he also created, a Valor Rift theme. Okay, well, we did. Chilling out is a little bit of an idea to potentially upgrade the Valor Rift, so hey, that might be even more motivation to prioritize that, knowing that, hey, we've got a journal theme in our back pocket as well. Just kind of, who knows if it'll actually happen, but just kind of not overhaul, but add a little extra bonus to the Valor Rift. But we might kind of keep that in our back pocket until we're not working on other things. Terry, love an adventure for the Big Bad Burrows. Glad is in the works. Maybe you can elaborate on what makes, what's the underlying sentiment there? Why would you love to see it? Often that's really the kind of comments and feedback where really we can take to heart is, if you say, how about this? Or I would like this, and here's why. And that's impactful because we can often see where the overlap is. Sometimes players want different things, but for the same reasons. And then that kind of provides the creative inspiration of, it creates the aha moment. Arctic, is there a way to see how long you can go into the toxic spill, or is math required? A little bit of math required. Could use a little bit of love, certainly, but kind of is what it is for now. I mean, a secret room. Do you mean the King's Stockade? Yeah, that can be a tricky room to get into, and once you go in, you don't leave. Oh, Nathan, on the topic of attractions rates, are there any hidden factors outside of your bait and location? I mean, it would vary on the area, but typically we try to stick to that to make things as consistent as can be, but certainly there are other areas that would affect things. Math. Yeah, it might be tricky to incorporate copyrighted characters into the game for obvious reasons. So, don't get me wrong, there's characters we know and love as well, but we might shy away for legal purposes of not taking someone else's IP and putting it into that game. And I hope you can maybe understand why that needs to be the case. especially when it comes to Disney. I don't know if we really want to. Something tells me they have a large legal department. I don't think we should put Disney characters into the game. And even just, as us being creative people making creative things, we wouldn't want someone to take our creativity and put it, use it elsewhere without permission. So, that's just the courteous thing to do. Michael, maybe release a basic egg template so players can have an off-game egg decorating contest. Well, I'm sure there's plenty of there out on the internet, and even the MouseHunt eggs don't have any specific rhyme or reason. I mean, similar dimensions, but they take a lot of creative license. Some of them look quite different than the others, so I don't even know if you really need a template to start with. Just draw an oval and stir it up. Roxanne want to see a Rift Dragon. That certainly would be epic. Maybe one day, if the Valor or if Tribal Isles, if we get there. I think that would be probably next when we pick that back up, but kind of have some other stories to tell first. You like to have things to motivate me to return to older areas. Okay, but I mean, would the adventure really accomplish that feat, right? I mean, like you'd go back and finish the adventure, but then, it's done. So if anything, maybe beyond just the adventure, but revised gameplay, maybe that's kind of the underlying sentiment. There's some overlap there in terminology of an adventure. Does that imply something new to do there as well? Whereas if we just added an adventure, the only thing would be get some living shards, buy some cheese, capture them. There'd be 3 steps to it. It wouldn't be particularly I was going to use the word fun, not a particularly challenging adventure, but there'd be some King's credits to be had. It'd be kind of along the lines of maybe Malak the Banished or the Eclipse Mouse style adventure. Let's take a look here. Night. Yeah, it'd be very similar to Malak the Banished. Kind of, get access to the area, figure out how to make the cheese, capture a mouse, but there's even fewer layers to it, so it really is a pretty straightforward one. Now, Grit, you're helping a new player to get the physical trap upgrade in the Isles, but you need the trap from Digby to make the enraged Rhinobot. It's hard for him to unlock that without the adventure. Yeah, fair enough too. Right now, anyway, it's a little Easter egg, a little thing to kind of dig out and discover, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, I think maybe if we just resolve to the fact that we're probably not going to get around to reimagining Digby. We were on a pretty good streak there for a little bit, but then we just kind of ran out of runway on it. Or maybe, it'd be good to know, would players find it odd if we had an adventure and then we just kind of deleted it and replaced it with another one? Is that weird? Maybe it's not the end of the world. Yeah, so it might be worth dropping one in place as long as nobody thinks it's too weird. Years down the road, we replace it. Script, pretty sure you said before that the stockade is just a blank area like the vacant lot. Yeah, it is just a pseudo area, so it is. You stay wherever you were, and just on your profile, just swaps out the name to something else. But they are, for all intents and purposes, still in that area wherever they met, wherever justice caught up with them, I guess. Yeah, Ryan, what about some characters that are sort of public domain? Yeah, but I think we'd still want to put our own spin on it. I could see if it had a special place in either the hearts of players or even us as developers, whether it was like kind of creative inspiration. But I think we'd still, put a little bit of the game flavor on it so it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb, like it isn't just kind of like a character from something completely unrelated to the game just suddenly appears there, feels not quite as cohesive, and if anything, it'll kind of break your suspension of disbelief, if you will, which is okay during events and what have you, where it's very meant to kind of tie into the real world and kind of bridge that gap a little bit. But sort of in the main canonical storyline, it's usually best to not have any of those jarring moments, and you kind of stay in character the whole time, and the universe works in a way you would anticipate it to. Analysis, just draw an oval. They've said that as well, like a little misshaped oval. Then you can start decorating up your egg. Well, shall we shift gears to trivia here? Hopefully I've hidden the answer. We're about to find out. Hey, I did. All right. Well, we'll have a little, as always, a little fun trivia, and Larry will have some rewards. Looking back on 15 years of mouse hunting, what was the first birthday, or what did the first birthday event consist of, and what were the rewards? This was 2009. 14 years ago. I think somebody has the answer pretty quick. Party hat for the party bot. That was one of the rewards. Indeed, Swift. That was an upgrade for the death bot. Yep, the party bot. Schoolwork, I think, has another piece of the puzzle there. The hit grab horsey as well, which pays homage to a former developer, Jeremy, who had a horsey very close to his heart. And it was a little bit of ridiculousness, but being a limited edition trap, sometimes you can get away with the ridiculousness. I think there was one more reward, and it's probably the most obvious one, staring you right in the face. To this year, it is a tradition that has been maintained all the way up to the 15th birthday. Giveaway, maybe, you know what? A giveaway probably, I wouldn't be surprised if it overlapped. That wasn't what I was thinking of, though. Another year of MouseHunt. Cake base, yes, the birthday cake base was the final reward as well. So you could get the party hat to upgrade the mouse death bot into the party bot. You could get the birthday cake base and the hit grab horsey. And those were all found by opening up fancy birthday gifts dropped by the birthday mouse. And so it's just nice to kind of reflect on, I didn't make a reward link. Look at me go. I mean, Larry didn't make one, right? Larry. Okay, I got to make a reward link. But it's interesting to just think back now to that very first occurrence of the birthday. Really, all it was were birthday mice were on the loose in every single area in the game, I think. And when you captured them, they dropped a birthday gift with a chance of dropping a fancy one, and the fancy ones had some unique elite rewards inside to earn. How far we've come now, there's a whole area, and you can pump a crate, a whole set of mice to encounter. I am nicely asking Larry for a gift here. Let me see here. Let's just update the answer, shall we, before we reveal it. Yeah, this was not even last week. I think we didn't have a trivia question last week. This might be a few weeks old. All right, there we go. Bam. Birthday mice on the loose. Get the party hats to upgrade the Demos Death Bot to the party bot. Birthday cake base, hit grab horsey. Reward link as well. I'll put this in the chat for your clicking convenience. Didn't even have to copy paste it today. I already had it. And now I'm curious. Let's see. Was there a giveaway at the same time? I would venture. My guess is yes, but let's see. Let's consult the always great work of the wiki editors. I went to the wrong year. Ronza did show up shortly after the birthday. There was a Valentine's giveaway. I don't think there was a giveaway during the birthday, though, as far as I can tell. King Stockade location was discovered in April 2009, eh? Clay haven't dusted off the party bot in forever. Events are often a good time to do that. You know, maybe where your catch rate isn't all too important. Can enjoy some old traps. Like I said, there's been some ideation, just haven't had the time to really push it forward and make it a reality of, you know, maybe you could use some of your traps. You know, it conflicts with the trap skin system, so I think that's the design challenge we got to work out. But where, you know, maybe I could just have any physical trap look like the party bot if I want. I'm just going to use it like a trap skin. We just got to figure out where that leaves trap skins if we go that route. Scriber, you weren't there for the first birthday, but you did study Great Mouse Hunt folklore, eh? Apparently the polar base as well. I think, yeah, I mean, we're going way back here, but I wonder if you could get it inside the gifts, and then when Ronza showed up, you could just buy the items from her. So if you got it inside the birthday gift, it was free. Otherwise, Ronza would sell it to you when she landed, and she brought the polar base shortly after the birthday. But I suspect the polar base wasn't inside one of the birthday gifts. Thanks, Dave. You can thank Larry. There are some party charms behind that link for your clicking convenience. Jack, have you thought about releasing a lore art book? Oh boy, have we ever. And, you know, an expression I tote sometimes are ideas are easy, execution is hard. So it's something that has been started, oh, probably 8 times and never managed to finish. So maybe one day, but, you know, alas, kind of the stars have to align. It has to be the right time and place. You know, with kind of all the right people in place to make it happen. So it's something that's been started but haven't been able to finish it. First birthday giveaway was held from the 7th to the 9th in March 2000. Really? All right. Still remember the iTunes mouse was repurposed to the Rockstar mouse. Used to give away iTunes gift cards, but it was a challenge based on kind of where you were geographically. Not everyone could redeem them, so that got reimagined. And as you can imagine, probably don't actually want that to be the name of a mouse. What happened to parental trap type? Any plan to expand it? Quite the opposite. Plan to remove it eventually one day. I think we're a little nervous around the second birthday. There was the Terrible Twos mouse. We felt personified a little bit different. Had a very kind of youthful, you know, childlike character to it, right? When it's a toddler. And I don't know, we got a little uncomfortable thinking about some of the traps, how they work. Are you really going to catch this like toddler mouse in that manner? So it kind of came up with a more fun narrative where you're disciplining that mouse. That's why you need a special power type for it. But, you know, again, as kind of the years go by, it just kind of sticks out, right? Not everything's cohesive. And there's so many other things in the game that there's just, you know, there's too many little loose ends. So it would be hard to come up with an entire suite of areas like that. I don't even really think that's anything we have creative inspiration for, to have a entire, you know, area or region devoted to childlike mice that need discipline. Feels like a little bit of a weird design space that I don't think we really want to wade into those waters. So probably just want to, you know, phase that out at some point. But right now it's not really hurting anything, so we just leave well enough alone. The trap, I think the trap would still exist. We would just give it a different power type, you know. Oh, Scrib Grats almost have collected every trap in the game. Just a little more Plutonum to go, eh? Your anniversary parental trap is going to be gone. I don't think such a thing exists there, Analysis, unless I'm sorely mistaken. Switch the nanny bot to the law type. Yeah, there we go. That's actually kind of a fun little tie-in. There's a little bit of work to do to clean up, and just, you know, there's other more pressing things on the go other than changing the power type of that trap, so we're just kind of leaving well enough alone. But, you know, one day it would probably happen, and just rest assured, I don't think we would ever release another trap like that. There was definitely a lot of kind of dartboard design going on in the early days of just throw everything up there and that's what comes out. But, you know, as the years have gone by, there's more and more things enter the game. I have to be a little bit more calculated about things so you don't end up with just kind of this smorgasbord of a bunch of stuff that doesn't all fit together, doesn't feel cohesive. That's fine in small doses, but kind of as the years go by, then you just kind of, everything feels disjointed, right? Like, what about this? What about that? You kind of want everything to have the same sort of vision design behind it. And everything feels like, you know, some of its parts creates the whole rather than a bunch of little bottle ideas that feel disjointed. Fleming, you think it's a shame parental wasn't included in Floating Island? I mean, that just doesn't make sense, though. Where would you get a trap, right? So then we'd have to introduce the trap, which means now it would have to, in perpetuity, forever have a place in the game. And we'd forever be releasing childish toddler mice that you're capturing, and just it feels weird, right? Like I'm just uncomfortable saying that out loud, right? Like it's so it was a cute idea to celebrate MouseHunt's entering its terrible twos, and like under that context, it feels like a cute little whimsical idea. But when you start to expand on that too much, and you're releasing child mice into the game, and you have a whole sort of strategy over capturing them, it's very weird and uncomfortable feeling. So I think that's just kind of why we want to. We don't touch that again. It was a fun, whimsical idea, but we don't want to bring it to the forefront and make it a big epic thing because it really doesn't work that way at all. You give timeouts in jail, eh? Some severe timeouts. Go stand in the corner for 5 minutes. Yeah, and you're sure you can make the nanny charm to make all traps become parental. Yeah, that's a good case. Yeah, good case as well. So when that mouse forever had this awkward power type tied to a limited edition trap, and then the solution was, oh hey, how about a charm that'll just turn it to be parental, and now that exists forever and needs to be maintained in perpetuity. What does that mean? What does that do when I arm it in different areas with different traps? And hopefully you can get where I'm coming from. It snowballs in a hurry, and if you have too many things working like that, then even when you're working on the game in a technical sense, in a design sense, just in a maintenance sense, you change one thing and something you made 8 years ago breaks, and you're like, okay, it's kind of like a Rube Goldberg machine where everything's hooked up, and like you hit this lever and it cracked an egg over there. I didn't mean for it to do that. So we got to be a little bit careful to help maintain stability, and everything kind of works the same way under the same vision. Yeah, and poor Des living their parental trap decision since 2010. That's part of the challenge, right? There's things that have been in the game for years and years and years. And we kind of, we would probably do things a little bit differently. Just like I'd hope 10 years from now, we'd do things a little bit differently, but everything has to kind of remain and keep its place in that sense. So it can be a challenge for sure. Yeah, Jack, you kind of articulated what's a little bit uncomfortable about that theme, unless it's done well, I think the Terrible Twos, MouseHunt Enters Its Terrible Twos, is a cute little whimsical idea, but you don't want to play that up too much. You don't want to tell that story for too long. Anyway, I'm gonna cut it off there because it's even just kind of an odd topic to talk about, to be honest. Well, we've covered the trivia. I think we've passed the hour mark. That's usually my cue to get on out of here. So reminder, the Super Brief Factory, the event is starting up on February 28. It is going to run till March 21. Then it has its shutdown phase as normal. You can expect a new Story Seeds snack pack. I didn't mean to open up one more of those, actually. Do I have enough tokens? No, I don't. I have failed to earn enough tokens. Why don't we... Oh, and I can't log into that. All right, never mind. All the best plans. It'll have to be a surprise when you go through the event. New Horde skin. Managed to make that into the game as well. That's exciting. And, as we showed some updated costs of some of the trap skins. That's something to keep in mind when the birthday event hits next week to celebrate 15 years of mouse hunting. I can't believe it. Like so often when we look back at some of the older areas, we never envisioned the game would go for 15 years. I remember when we put the mouse death bot in, we thought maybe 1 or 2 people will get this thing, and that's like, yeah. We thought we were making it ridiculously expensive as just an above and beyond, like, bragging rights. Oh, you got the death bot? Whoa, you certainly played mouse hunt a lot. We were wrong about that, and even the dragon mouse was meant to be sort of the final end-all, be-all mouse. Can you slay a dragon? And we thought, nobody would make it to that dragon, and that would be like, beating the game. You beat the game if you beat the dragon. We were wrong there. We've kind of changed our mentality now. Certainly as we're putting together areas. But wow, it's just crazy it's wild to think about just how far it's come. 15 years is quite the journey. And, thank players for coming along for the journey and making the journey possible as well. And making all those fun memories happen over 15 years. Scrib, adios. Got to scoot anyway. Have a good one. You too, Scrib. Enjoy your weekend. Jonathan, looking forward to next Folklore Forest area ghost stories for House. Yeah, that's kind of a neat idea, but we'll see. That's something we'll dig into probably over the coming weeks. We'll start to dig into that a little bit. Thanks, Dave, and the entire team. Thank you as well for joining me, John, and for playing as well. And to share, thanks, Dave. Thanks for joining me. Oh, see ya. Holy guacamole, 15 years, says Murray. Exactly. That sums up my sentiments exactly as well. Well, once again, thank you for joining me, Hunters. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. As mentioned at the top of Feedback Friday, there may or may not be a Feedback Friday next week. We'll see if Jacob's free or not. I will be away. So, keep your eye to the news ticker there, and we'll probably take down that banner as well if it doesn't happen. So just a heads up, a little 50-50 whether it'll be a Feedback Friday. But if not, then maybe I'll see you the next week if it's not Jacob, or maybe a couple weeks from now. So it may be a little while before we see each other again. So have a great one, and happy hunting. I'll see you next time.
You're a trap, don't seem to mind it. You attract me, I'm a mouse, you're a cat. I don't seem to mind it. Soft and furry, oh, and just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Just when you think you're safe, snap. I come back. You don't seem to mind it, but I'm a fool. Broke my back. You don't seem to mind it, 'cause you're so cool. And just when I think I'm safe, snap. Turns out I'm never safe, snap. Ooh. And just when you think you're safe, snap. Turns out